Hi guys, let us talk about compound sentences. Compound sentences, if you were in science, a compound would mean you've got two different substances in two beakers, and you were going to take those two substances and mix them together, and you would get a new thing that is a compound. It has two different elements in it. Well, in English, compound means pretty much the same thing. Only instead of having beakers with two different chemical elements, you are going to have two complete sentences. And you are going to be doing something to join these two complete sentences together. When you are sentence diagramming, these are the sentences that go complete sentence up here, subject, verb, direct object. And then I have a second complete sentence down here. Maybe you've got a subject and a verb, and then those two are joined together. Oh, my pen's not writing. Then those two things are joined together. And so that's what is called a compound sentence. But there are several ways to make compound sentences. And if there were not important differences between them, we would not have different styles. So what we're going to talk about is some different types of compound sentences and how you form compound sentences. So let's talk about the first one. The first one is called a coordinating conjunction. Coordinating conjunction, that's going to be comma and, comma but, comma or. And so you're joining two complete sentences. And so I want to join them. I have Percy is brave. So I'm going to write my sentence, Percy is brave. I'm then going to have the sentence, he challenged the whole French army. So he challenged the whole French army. And now, if I want to join them together with a coordinating conjunction, I would need to have a comma, and then I would need to choose a conjunction. One of the fanboy words that correctly tells me what the relationship. So for, it's a cause and effect word. And means two ideas are similar. Nor means that you have two things, neither of which are true. But means there's a difference. Or means there's a choice. Yet means there's a difference. So is a cause and effect word. It's just a different cause and effect word than for. So if I say, I like you, so I want you at my party. That means that the first idea, I like you, causes the second one. But for is actually the other way around. I want you at my party for I like you. So in so, you're saying that the first idea leads to the second. In for, you're saying that the second idea leads to the first. But they're both cause and effect words. So we have to pick which word goes together. Percy is brave. He challenged the whole French army. If I put the word and, it fits. But what I'm saying is these two things are both true, but not necessarily in a cause and effect relationship. I think probably the better word here is going to be one of the cause and effect ones. He's brave. He challenges the whole French army. So which one is the cause and which one is the effect? Is it Percy is brave, so he challenged the whole French army? Or is it that he challenges the whole French army, so he's brave? Yeah, this is sort of my cause. This second one is causing me, this is my cause, and that's leading me back to having that effect. So I would say Percy is brave, for he challenged the whole French army. Okay, that 100% works. But comma for is a little unusual. So quite frankly, the clearer sentence probably would be Percy, that's an R, sorry, challenged the whole French army Let me erase real quick. Okay, there you go. Percy challenged the whole French army, so he is brave. My point here is that sometimes students treat these conjunctions like they're interchangeable, and they really aren't. And even if they can be interchanged, like here, I could get rid of so and I could say and it would logically make sense. Percy challenged the whole French army, and he is brave. But the word and simply says that these two ideas are both true. It doesn't tell you there's a relationship between them. And if I were to put in a word like but, Percy challenged the whole French army, but he is brave, that doesn't even make sense at all, because but says that those two ideas have to contrast each other. But these two ideas clearly don't contrast each other. So, in this particular sentence, the word and could fit, but it might not be best. Some words like but or yet or, they don't make sense at all. And really our best one here is so. Make sure that you understand that these words have their own meanings and have their own reasons for being. Now let's talk about the next one, which is a conjunctive adverb. Okay, I have the same sentences. So I'm going to start with Percy challenged the whole French army. Sorry, I'm not writing the whole thing out. He is brave. Now, a conjunctive adverb is going to be very, very similar. However, it's bigger. So instead of having a little piece of punctuation up front, I want something bigger. What am I going to put? I'm going to put a semicolon. Instead of having a little connecting word, so, I want something really bigger. So I want a word that means so, but is simply bigger. And I have two I can choose that mean cause and effect. Consequently or therefore. And therefore is more common. Now, behind a coordinating conjunction, I have nothing. I just have a blank. But I want to make it bigger. So what's bigger than nothing? Comma. So right now, can you identify the conjunctive adverb that's correct in these sentences? Okay, hopefully you're getting the hang of it. But here's my real question. Why is it that I can either join two sentences with comma so or semicolon therefore comma? If there's no difference, if in each case I am joining two complete sentences, why does English have different structures? Well, now we're getting into an area of style. Why is it that an author chooses one instead of the other? Coordinating conjunctions, which are going to be your comma so, comma and, comma but. These are so common in the English language that they almost become invisible. So this sentence right here does not draw any attention to itself. That little tiny structure in the middle is almost invisible, and so this doesn't stand out in any way. But this sentence, because it is using a larger structure in the middle, draws more attention to itself. So you got some fireworks going off here, some sparklers that are basically telling the reader, hey, pay attention to me, this is important. But what is it exactly that the reader is supposed to be paying attention to as these sparklies go off? Well, what the reader is really paying attention to, because the sentence doesn't look any different up here, the reader is really paying attention to the therefore. This draws more attention to itself because of this large punctuation and this large word. And so this draws more attention to the relationship. And the fireworks that are going off here are ding, 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 ding. What's important here is the relationship between the ideas. So it draws more attention to this relationship word. And that means that the actual sentences themselves are not as important. What's really important is the relationship between them. So even though the main ideas in these two are the same, there are subtle differences. This one says, hey, yeah, these two things are cause and effect. This one goes, whoa, stop the presses. The main idea here is these two things, dude, they're cause and effect. This grammar becomes your tone of voice so that you can tell when an author is trying to draw your attention, when an author is shouting. So let's take a look at another one. So here we have a structure that you may not have seen as often, but it's equally valid. You have two complete sentences. Percy challenged the whole French army. He is brave. Two complete sentences. They are joined together with a semicolon and only a semicolon. The grammar there is absolutely fine, but the question is stylistically, when do I use a semicolon and why do I use a semicolon? Well, if I use a semicolon, I have no connecting words. I don't have the so. Sorry, let me change pens real quick. I don't have the so that I had in my coordinating conjunction that told me it was cause and effect. I don't have the therefore. I don't have any buts or yets or ors. There are no connecting words whatsoever. And that means the semicolon is the only thing holding these two together. And this is only appropriate if these two ideas are essentially equal. So if you are saying that the first idea and the second idea are equal, they are essentially the same. It's like, dude, I'm essentially repeating myself because this idea is equal to this idea, then you can use a semicolon. This should also be used only when these two ideas are short, because long ideas are very complicated, so getting them to be equals to each other is going to be probably a little too hard, and it's stylistically not going to work as well. Now, what's the advantage of this? Well, here, therefore, pulled attention away from the two sentences and pulled attention to the relationship in the middle. Well, here there is no relationship word at all, which means it throws the main idea, all the emphasis out at the sentences. So here the emphasis gets pulled into the relationship, therefore. Here the emphasis gets thrown out onto the sentences. So this puts more of the emphasis onto the main ideas. It also is an unusual structure, and anything that is unusual draws the reader's attention. So by putting a semicolon in, it's going to draw a lot more emphasis onto this sentence, and we should only do that if that's a main idea. So this is going to be what's called a semicolon only sentence. You'll sometimes see it abbreviated just SEMI or semi. So there is one more kind of compound sentence. Let's take a look. Now, this is a colon. It's just two dots, one on top of the other. And some of you may be like, wait a minute, colons are used for lists. Yes, they are, but they can also be used to join two complete sentences. But a colon is going to have a very specific meaning. A colon means that you are starting with a main idea, and you are then going into a list of details. And you can, in fact, have a list of one. But for me to use a colon, I would have to be saying that this is the main idea, that Percy challenged the whole French army, and that this is then a detail, he is brave. Well, is this a detail that fits under this? No, then I can't use a colon. These structures are not interchangeable. You can't just plug them in. But let's take a look at another option. Okay, if I look at this, here's my question. Is this a main idea? Percy is brave. Well, yeah, it seems to be. Is this a detail that fits under bravery? He challenged the whole French army. Is that a detail that goes under brave? Well, yeah, it could, which means I can put a colon here. So this is a no-go because you don't have main idea and then list of details, but this does work. Now, question. Could I also flip-flop it if I'm using a semicolon? So tell me if this sentence is correct. So what do you think? Is this correct? Sure. Percy is brave. Complete sentence. He challenged the whole French army. Complete sentence. Semicolon in between. You can join two complete sentences with a semicolon. Of course, a semicolon puts the emphasis out onto the sentences themselves because it doesn't have any kind of connecting word. So it's saying that these two sentences are equal. We've already decided that they are. So this absolutely works, which leads me to a question. If both of these are correct, then why does English have two different pieces of punctuation? In other words, what is the difference between these two sentences? Well, I don't know if you got it or not, but let's talk it through. A colon means that the first idea is the main idea. This is the important one. And this is just a detail. In a semicolon says these two ideas are equal and equally important. So, the first sentence, this one that has the colon, emphasizes Percy's bravery because it puts the emphasis here. The second sentence emphasizes that both of these two things are true. But because it emphasizes both, it's kind of like if I'm only shouting on one word, what are you talking about? Well, the you gets emphasized. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm talking just to you. But if I shout everything, what are you talking about? Well, you no longer stands out because it's now not the only thing that gets shouted. Here, Percy is brave is the main idea. This is a detail. And because this is the main idea, it's what's getting shouted about. Here, the whole sentence stands out. And so this whole sentence is equally important. So it's moving the emphasis. So that is a quick primer on compound sentences. What I want you to do is go back into the last essay we did, and I want you to find me 4 sentences that when you look in the essay, you think those sentences should have been compound. It could be that you already made them compound. It could be that you're going to need to do some editing. But I want you to decide on 4 sentences that you can make compound. And I want them to be logically compound. So don't just pull random sentences. Sentence number 1 is going to be a coordinating conjunction. In other words, I want you to show me that you can use a fanboys. Have that small relationship. And so this is going to be something that is not as important of an idea because these words are so common, we talked about, they become invisible. The second, I want you to do me a conjunctive adverb. Why is that disappearing? Okay, conjunctive adverb. We talked about on conjunctive adverb, because that relationship word is so large, it draws more attention to itself. And therefore, what's being emphasized is the relationship between these two ideas. So find a place where the relationship is important and do me a conjunctive adverb. If you want to know all your conjunctive adverbs, you can certainly do a Google search for it. But I will tell you, therefore is your common one for cause and effect. however is your common one for saying that two things are different, and in addition or additionally are your two big ones for saying that things are similar. Okay? Number 3, I then want you to do a semicolon only. That means you are looking for two short ideas, short sentences, where the two sentences are perfectly equal, and then join them together with that semicolon. We would only do this if the two sentences are short. And because this is an unusual piece of punctuation, we would do this if we're trying to draw attention to the sentence. So make this be a really important idea. And finally, number 4, I want you to do a colon compound sentence. And that means I want you to find me one of these main ideas that you can attach to then a detailed list of 1. And so, because this is a main idea, it's going to put the emphasis onto this opening main idea. So, you go write me those 4 sentences and make them beautiful. See you soon.